Hello and welcome to the Save Heritage channel. I am Usha and we will be today looking at history through the built monuments. So this is the first in the series and we will be taking a look into the Kote Venkatramana temple. So Kote Venkatramana temple is present in KR Market near Bangalore, in Bangalore. So this was a temple which was built more than 200 years ago, and we will see what the temple tells about history, what a chapter it reveals in history. So the definition of history is that history is the study of the past. But just like science, history also depends on evidence. So, just like science does experimentation and looks for evidence when stating facts, history also does that by looking at evidences. So, the first thing we will study is what is the evidence that we have for talking about this part of the temple. Okay. So there is some evidence could be primary sources or secondary sources. So primary sources could be inscription stones, coins, study of sculpture, books. Secondary sources could be derived from the primary sources. So in this case we have a primary source, that is an inscription stone. What are inscription stones? They are inscriptions which is written in either metal or stone or any durable material that talks about a certain king or his officer who has either repaired a tank or built a temple or given grants. So let us take a look at the inscription stone that has been found for this temple. So here is the photo. So this inscription stone is written in Kannada, and it tells that this temple was built by Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar. So Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar was the 14th king in the Mysore Wodeyar dynasty. So it tells you that this temple was built by Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar and his son, that is Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar's son, Narasaraja, gave a grant of 4 villages to this temple. So now we know that a temple existed, it got a grant of 4 villages, and that this temple was built by Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar. So this is what I call as evidence. So we looked at the evidence and we also looked into the inscription. Now let us actually see what we can learn about Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar from this temple. So Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar was from the Mysore Wodeyar's lineage. So Mysore Wodeyars actually ruled the region of Mysore from 1399 onwards, and there were more than 25 kings in this dynasty. Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar was the 14th king. So this temple is actually Kote Venkatramana temple. So it is belonging to Lord Venkatramana. So this shows that the Chikkadevaraja was himself following the faith of Lord Vishnu, and he was belonging to Sri Vaishnavism. So Chikkadevaraja and his ancestors some of his ancestors like Kantirava and Raja Wodeyar followed Vishnu, and their religion was the Sri Vaishnavism. So they built a lot of temples for Vishnu. They also built temples for other sects, but they were followers of Sri Vaishnavism. So Kote Venkatramana temple is actually a temple belonging to Lord Venkatramana, as I mentioned, and it also shows that Mysore Wodeyar, Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar, would have been a follower of, and because he was a follower of Sri Vaishnavism, he built a lot of temples. Secondly, as you go around the temple, you see that the architecture of the temple follows the Vijayanagara style. So, to make a pause here, Vijayanagara kingdom was one of the very powerful kingdoms in South India during the medieval period, and it was uh, ruling from Hampi. The capital was at Hampi. So the usual style of temple building of Vijayanagara was, there was the temple always had an inner sanctum, then Sukhanasi, followed by various other mantapas like Navaranga and then Mukha Mantapa. There was also a courtyard which surrounded the temple that was known as the Prakara, and there were a lot of shrines for other deities, and there would be a lamp pillar, a sacrificial pavilion, etc. So this temple too has an inner sanctum followed by two sukhanasis, and then you have a mukha mantapa which has decorative columns, and then you have a lamp pillar. So we come to know that they did follow Vijayanagara style of building. Now take a look at this column. So this is one of the columns in the Mukha Mandapa. So it has lion brackets, and then you have they are trampling on elephants, and a hero is riding on a lion. So these are the kind of decorative friezes inside the temple itself. And apart from this, you might ask, why would Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar, who was the ruling from Srirangpatna, that is near Mysore, build a temple here? Why so far? So for this, let us understand the political situation of the king during his time. So when Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar ruled from the period for 1673 to 1704. Okay, he was a contemporary of Shivaji, and he was contemporary of Aurangzeb, and he had a lot of battles with Tanjore, Madurai, which was down south of Mysore, and also Ikkeri, and he was enemies with Marathas, but he was friendly with the Mughals, because Mughals and Mysore had a common enemy, Marathas. So his time period was prosperous, but it was also a lot of battles. And he was one of the great kings of Mysore. Even his ancestors, Raja Wodeyar and Kanthirava, were expanded Mysore. But during Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar's time, he actually stood out because of not only his strategic alliances and battles, but also he made a lot of, it was also a prosperous time. So because of his common enmity with the Marathas, he built a lot of forts, and Bangalore was one such place which acted as a strategic post. So he built a fort here, which was made of mud, and it was oval, and it was there was already a fort existing in Bangalore in the 16th century. That was during Kempegowda's time. He built a fort. Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar built a fort just south of this Kempegowda's fort, and he also enlarged the streets and built temple of Lord Venkatramana. So it was along with Savandurga, which is a few miles away from Bangalore, and Devaraya Durga. Bangalore acted as a decoy and as military, defense before Marathas would actually come nearer to Mysore. So because of this, Bangalore also grew into prominence, and that's the and in fact he purchased Bangalore from Mughals in 1690s for sum of 3 lakh rupees. If you actually read the history, you come to know that he actually purchased Bangalore, and then he went about building a fort and building a temple and so on. So this is a little bit on Chikkadevaraja Wodeyar. He had some 10 queens, but he had only but his son Narasaraja, who ruled after him, was born deaf, and so he was also known as Mukaraja, deaf and dumb. So during Narasaraja's time, he was into culture and other literature and all, but the actual ruling of Mysore went into the hands of Dalwais, who uh, ruled the region in the name of the who did decisions, who took decisions in the name of the king, but the actual power was with these ministers or dalwais. So that is a little bit on this temple. Now coming to the mystery, which is that as you go around this temple, you see Shiva's wedding scenes on the walls. So Shiva gets married to Parvati, so Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva going to the wedding, and Parvati, who was a daughter of Himalayas, she is being given, she is getting married to Shiva. So all these scenes are depicted in the walls of the temple. So the question comes, why would a Shiva's wedding scene be there on a Vishnu temple? I have seen this kind of wedding scene in Alsur temple, which is a Shiva temple in Bangalore, and Bhoganandishwara, which is also a Shiva temple. So this is one such mystery. And secondly, some researchers have also mentioned that there is a difference in the architecture of the temples. Some of them show an earlier period, while some of them have a finer finishing and might have been in a later period. And some researchers have also put forward the fact that there were a ruin of a Basava shrine or a bull in this temple premises. So if you look back into history, before Chikkadevaraya's this one, and even before the Marathas too had occupied Bangalore, but even before them, there was a reign of Kempegowda. So he was a devotee of Shiva. So there might have been an earlier Shiva temple here. We may never know, but what we do know is Chikkadevaraya would have a lot of temple building, constructions and repairs happened during Chikkadevaraya Wodeyar's time. So this is one such temple. So definitely go and visit this temple, as it talks a lot about the Wodeyar history.